Hello and welcome to Power to the People with me, Graeme Pryce. Somebody left a comment this morning saying they were looking forward to another video from me, and while I am working on a couple of longer scripts, I've also been trying to speed up my whole video making process so I can get more content out a bit more quickly. I feel things are getting a little bit too serious lately though, with all this talk of fascism and Farage, so I thought we'd have a look at one of the most ridiculous and dishonest characters that ever stalked the halls of Westminster. Though thankfully, she's failed to ever become an MP. She is an individual we've spoken about before. Let's have a look at the latest ludicrous reason that London's most dishonest, failed mayoral candidate, Susan Hall, has got herself in the news again. Right after this. I was just looking at my channel analytics and I was shocked to discover that almost 40% of people who watch my videos aren't subscribed. I was inconsolable. You can go some way towards redressing the balance by just checking that you've subscribed, that you've rang the bell, and that you're hitting the like button before you go. Susan is very, very dishonest. She's also as daft as a box of toenail clippings and about as insensitive and ignorant as it is possible for a grown woman to be. At least I think she's a grown woman. You wouldn't know by the way she conducts her social media accounts. Susan came to my attention during her ill-fated campaign to be elected as Lady Mayoress of London. She would have been one of few ladies to ever hold the title had she won. She could have capitalised on this and projected herself as a change in direction for the Conservative Party, as a paragon of progressive forward thinking, as the candidate that the troubled right-wing ladies of London could let lead them to a brighter future. Did she do that? No. Did she, folk? No. What she did instead was spend every day repeatedly posting lies about Sadiq Khan and doing hilariously stupid photo opportunities. You see, like most Conservatives, Susan is very one-dimensional and incapable of intuitively understanding her surroundings and her position, let alone the people that she was hoping would give her a vote. Her campaign started just after the Tories won a by-election in London by telling complete lies to everybody about the ULEZ programme. It was, in fact, Boris Johnson's constituency of Uxbridge and Ruislip, and all of the right-wing grifting wank-spanglers with the biggest followings jumped on the ULEZ bandwagon and shared the lies, especially Lawrence Fox. I mentioned this in my 5 Reasons Lawrence Fox is a Twat video. I would imagine Susan is a big fan of Boris Johnson. She's probably met him. Bet she had to wear leg warmers to catch the drips. Anyway, Susan was watching closely and saw that pig-headed determination to keep repeating the same lies over and over, backed up by the right-wing media, seemed to have helped hold on to that constituency at a time when the Tories were about as popular as a turd in a swimming pool. Not being a particularly original thinker, Susan decided to make up a story claiming that Sadiq Khan was going to introduce a paper mile scheme in London and rip off all the Londoners. She repeated this deliberate misinformation several times a day on all of her social media accounts for a good few months. Back then, Twitter wasn't quite as much of an unadjudicated shit pit of lies and propaganda, so every day on every single one of her posts, there would be a community notice informing everyone that what she'd said was actually bullshit. Then there would be thousands of people in the comments section posting links to the various occasions Sir Sadiq had been asked about his plans for a paper mile scheme and responded with various levels of confusion, amusement and bewilderment, as it appeared to be a completely made up smear campaign with absolutely no basis in reality. Now, I don't think Susan dreamed up this one herself. She's as useless as a sunroof on a submarine, remember, but she certainly ran with it. Susan keeps some questionable friends. And one of them is the infamous right-wing fucking clap-trapping moron known on Twitter as Ben on Wine. He's one of these pricks that to this day has his tongue so far up Boris Johnson's arse that he can lick his tonsils from below. The type of dick that tries to claim that Judas Johnson himself was just hijacked with a birthday cake. The difference between Ben on Wine and Susan Hall is that he isn't a Conservative member of the London Assembly, so he really is free to post his nasty racist shite and grift his living from farming hatred on social media all day. Susan is not. She seemed to forget this when she shared an AI image from that far-right racist and ludicrous idiot that she follows, though. An image of Sadiq Khan drowning in a large body of water in obvious distress. The fact that anybody thinks it's normal to create images like that is, quite frankly, a little bit disturbing. But there was a caption alongside it asking, "What would you throw to Sadiq to help him?" Of course, there were hundreds of appallingly racist, utterly brainless and totally disgusting dickbags commenting disgraceful and deplorable things in response. But Susan is quite well known for seeing these as her kind of people, so that didn't stop her reposting the image, along with her suggestion that she'd throw him a ULEZ camera. A fucking ULEZ camera. This is a woman who thought she was capable of becoming Mayor of London. This is the woman that the Conservatives thought was capable of becoming the Mayor of London. This was the best candidate they could find to put forward, apparently. It's been widely reported and the London Assembly has been made aware, but let's be honest, if they didn't kick her out for being a vile racist cow for years and posting blatant lies for months on end about Sadiq Khan, I doubt they will now. But she's claimed that sharing a violent image of opposition drowning, along with the ability for anyone who follows her to access hundreds and hundreds of racist and far-right comments on her Twitter feed, and pinning it to the top so it would get maximum exposure, it was just a joke. Just a light-hearted gag about wanting the guy that is so often targeted by racist Tommy supporters that he receives almost daily death threats. Just a light-hearted gag about him being drowned, you know. So funny, in fact, that she's since removed it. She hasn't apologised, though. Thank you for watching if you've gotten this far. I'm not going to post a link to the picture. I mean, it's not exactly, you know, horror central, but I don't really want to contribute to it being circulated. Not in the way Susan Hall did, anyway. She's been widely condemned by normal people for her actions and her sheer stupidity again. But as always, she appears unrepentant, as she was when she lied about having a purse stolen on the Underground. Remember that? Remember how ridiculous that was? Even Nick Ferrari laughed at her over that one, and he's as right-wingy as any Tory twatbag gets, isn't he? Thankfully, Susan isn't very important, or likeable, or successful, or normal. So it's extremely unlikely that she'll ever succeed in getting elected to any sort of real position of power. Having said that, we live in a country where Jacob Rees-Mogg and Michael Fabricant could get elected, so... In fact, if Michael Fabricant wasn't a fellow passenger on the big pink bus to Brighton, I'd imagine Susan Hall would be his ideal woman. Maybe he should hire her to comb his wigs for him. At least she'd be a bit more useful in that role, wouldn't she? I've definitely digressed with that one there, haven't I? Anyway, if you want to support the channel, you'll find links to PayPal, Patreon, and the Buy Me a Coffee page, waving, not drowning, in the descriptions box below. And as always, the join button for memberships is also below. Now, that isn't all I've got to say, but it's certainly as much of what I've got to say as I'm going to say today. Ta-ra. Hello and welcome to Countdown to Power. That's a blast from the past, isn't it, Dan? Hello and welcome to Countdown to Power. Oh, for God's sake, I've done it again.